He always made sure his troops got the credit for the great things they were doing for the Iraqi police and military. Phil was adamant that no one touched that bell unless they were Navy. He had one exception, though, and that was his Air Force contracting officers were allowed to ring that bell when they awarded a contract. In my mind, I can still hear that bell ringing, and the inevitable, wait for it, Phil pounding on the walls, "We're spending money over here." Phil was very proud of his folks and their ability to execute contracts and support the mission here at Minsticky. Phil had some regular habits that were uniquely Phil. He would have the air conditioner running in his office full tilt, and he'd be sitting at his desk with his cap on and his fleece coat while everybody else froze. He looked just like the old man sitting on the bridge of his ship. At dinner every night, he would sit in his defac, having a cup of coffee, talking to his troops about what was going on in their personal lives. Occasionally, late at night, throughout the building, you could hear the sounds of Phil playing his guitar. And the building's strangely quiet now without those sounds. When Phil got to Iraq, he set a personal goal of getting himself in better physical shape. He and Tech Sergeant Fleming began a regular workout routine, and he entered several of the IZ running events, including a half marathon in preparation for the Marine Corps Marathon. He often challenged the others in our office to a deck of push-ups. It's where you draw a card out of the deck and do the number of push-ups on that deck. And those were a team-building event as well. I mean, it was good for the morale of the troops. I can still see him now with a smile on his face as he's walking down the hallway to the gym with his sea bag slung over his shoulder, stopping by my door and saying, "Headed to the gym, boss." Phil lost over 20 pounds. For my brief time knowing him, Phil was devoted to his wife and kids. I think he was on the phone almost every night with Olivia, Seth, and Lauren. He had pictures of his kids all around his desk, and would probably call me over when he received new ones from home. When he spoke of his wife, Cheryl, it was evident she held an honored spot in his heart. He was looking forward to going home and being reunited with them, and they are in our prayers today. As I said before, Bill cared about people. He started his Navy career caring about people as a medical corpsman, and culminated it helping the people of Iraq. During this time supporting the JCCI and Minsticky missions, he broke new ground to assist the people of Iraq. Phil led the development of several new Iraqi sources for manufacturing uniforms, both police and Army, employing over 100 new, or putting in 100 new jobs for Iraqis around the country. In addition to that, his team provided huge stimulus, awarding hundreds of millions of dollars of contracts to Iraqi firms. He personally oversaw the construction of the 2 camps that General Scott was talking about, which provided housing for over 3,200 troops for the deployment to Baghdad for Operation Fard al-Qanoun and security operations here. Because of his efforts, Iraqis are increasingly in the lead of their own destiny, and violence in Baghdad has subsided. As his fellow Supply Corps shipmates have said, Phil believed the best leaders lead from the front and not from behind, as General Scott pointed out. When Phil heard that call from our command for an on-site project manager there at Rusafa, he knew that job was tailor-made for him. He volunteered despite the danger to his own person. And those first nights there at FOB Shield, he sounded a little down because he missed our team. But he quickly got to know his new neighbors and rebounded and loved the new mission there. His daily emails to the CG were upbeat and full of hope. And he was able to see some of the fruits of his efforts before he died. Due to his drive and sacrifice, there's a new Iraqi Central Criminal Court and prison expansion in place, and justice will be brought to terrorists and criminals like those that took Phil's life. The night we gathered as Phil's body began its final journey home, it was a heavily overcast night. The moon and stars were completely obscured. As we stood there awaiting the arrival of the helos, the clouds began to part and the sky became crystal clear over the helicopter pad. And one particularly bright star stood out directly in front of me, like a beacon demanding attention. Only moments later, the helos arrived, carry Phil and 2 security personnel killed with him to the airport. As the helos lifted off and disappeared into the night, the heavy cloud cover returned over the landing zone, and at that moment I knew Phil was with God. Now if everybody would please stand, I'm going to read the citation to accompany the award of the Bronze Star Medal. In addition to the Bronze Star Medal, Phil was awarded the Purple Heart and the Navy Combat Action Ribbon. Citation to accompany the award of the Bronze Star Medal to Commander Philip A. Murphy Sweet, United States Navy, for exceptionally meritorious service in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commodities Chief, Iraq Contracting Operations, Joint Contracting Command, Iraq, Afghanistan, Baghdad, Iraq, from 16 November 2006 to 7 April 2007 during Operation Iraqi Freedom. Commander Philip A. Murphy Sweet provided exemplary leadership and unwavering motivation to his subordinates, driving his team to provide $250 million of critical supplies and services to Iraqi and coalition troops engaged in combat operations against a determined and hardened enemy. Commander Murphy Sweet routinely acted without regard for his own safety and personal welfare in his efforts to reconstruct the nation of Iraq and ensure a bright, secure future for the Iraqi people. On countless occasions, he subjected himself to sniper fire and improvised explosive devices while navigating the heart of Baghdad, the focal point for violence in Iraq, in order to accomplish his mission. Despite these risks, he led his team through the challenging purchase of over $90 million of vehicles to support the Iraqi Prime Minister's Baghdad Security Initiative as violence continued in central Iraq. Additional prison space and an effective, transparent judiciary became the commanding general's top priority. Commander Murphy Sweet directly answered this call by executing numerous construction contracts that culminated in 6,000-man Risafa prison expansion and establishment of the Central Criminal Court of Iraq. He created an aggressive project schedule that required him to repeatedly expose himself to hostile fire while traveling between secure areas and the project work site. It was during such a convoy that Commander Murphy Sweet's vehicle was struck by an improvised explosive device, mortally wounding him. By his extraordinary guidance, zealous initiative, and total dedication to duty, Commander Murphy Sweet reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. Please be seated. Now we're going to have a brief video tribute from Minsticky and the Minsticky Support Division of JCCI.
Chairman Petraeus, distinguished guests, and friends. Thank you for coming today to honor Phil Murphy Sweet. Commander Murphy Sweet was more than a friend of me. He was my brother, my shipmate. Hey, brother, he would say to me each time that we see each other for the first day to start the day off. We'll start off with a firm handshake and a quick hug. We would chat about work, about our family, and then we would go on our way. But without fail, Phil would say, "Okay, brother, you take care of yourself, and I'll see you later. And remember, if you need anything, come see me." In his own subtle way, he watched over me like a big brother. That was Phil, always putting others before himself. Commander Murphy Sweet and I met in February 2001 at postgraduate school, Monterey, California. His first words to me were, "So where's mine?" He was referring to the Italian pasta I was delivering to his neighbor, and who had just given birth to a couple. In the months to come, on the campus at several functions, we eventually grew to a great friendship. We went our separate ways in the summer of 2002, but not without saying goodbye, but see you later. In December 2004, we were blessed to be stationed together in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania at the NAV ICP. For the years to come, I gave him, in the 2 years that I was serving with him, it was such a blessing. Between the projects, meetings, and functions, and the trips down to DC, our friendship grew into a brotherhood. Here's where I honored and knew Phil personally. He was the epitome of a Naval Supply Corps officer who believed and lived the Navy core values: honor, courage, and commitment. Commander Murphy Sweet chose his character in the uniform of his country. Phil was a sailor first and was proud of it. Phil was a source of inspiration and a strong leader to those who knew him and worked with him. A model leader, a mentor, a great brother. A man with a great heart, a man full of life, a man who walked in the room and would light it up. A man of humor, a man who made you feel comfortable around him. But most of all, he was a loving father of 3 beautiful children, a devoted husband to a strong and faithful wife, a man who I called my brother, and I loved as so. In July of last year, we found out that we're coming out here to Iraq together, here at the Phoenix base. In preparation, we helped each other out, going to his office, making sure our documents were straight, even comparing the same uniform items that we got to make sure that we looked like Navy men. He even picked up my dog tags one day because he came by my office and said, "Hey, do you need anything?" So as I wore them today, the ones that he actually picked up for me a few days before I left. He was always generous and willing to go that extra mile. I thank God for the opportunity to have served with such a fine man, my brother. To the sailors of this great Navy, the ones out there on watch right now, I say this. Remember Phil Murphy Sweet. Learn of his life, of his service. He made the world a better place in his own subtle way. He fought the good fight. He finished his course. He kept the faith. May God bless his soul, his family, Cheryl, Olivia, Seth, and Lauren. His Navy, the nation he loved so much and served so nobly. Fair winds and following seas, my dear brother, my shipmate. We will miss you dearly.
I'm most honored and humbled today to say a few words on behalf of Murphy Sweet. About 35 years ago plus, I was the honor guard OIC and the burial detail for the 101st. I remember that day as if it was yesterday. Excuse me. Being an old lawyer, it's hard to say a few words, but I promise you I will be brief in my remarks today. not because there's a shortage of words or important things to say about this young man, but because there's many great words and many great things to say. After the events of Saturday, which I was with Phil, late in the evening I retired to my quarters on Fob Shield. As I sat at my desk, I picked up the Bible laying there to read a bit. As is my custom, I do not follow a set reading pattern, but opened the Bible and read from where it opened. On Saturday night, it opened to the 64th chapter of the book of Isaiah, and in there I began to read. And as I came to the 8th verse, since I'm a man set in my ways, and some in this room will know that,